All right, so I made a decision, an executive decision, which I'm sure will be unpopular for some, but I've decided to hire somebody to come do the lights. A couple of reasons. One, I got up on that scaffolding and my knees are shaking and I can't hold my hand steady. So phobia is reason number one. Reason number two is I just don't have I hate saying I don't have the time. I could certainly make the time and do a little bit, a little bit each day. I think I'd be better off doing something else. I know it would be. So let's just say I'm going to concede here and say I don't have the time to get it done, and because of my electrical skill set combined with my fear of heights, and I really shouldn't be here up on the scaffolding by myself. So then convincing somebody else to come here with me, I just think it's smarter. We just hire an expert, and so Phil's going to come here today, and he's going to walk us through, how to do this stuff. So we're going to work on the install, proper code, proper mounting. I want to make sure, I'll show you here in a second, but the lights that are in here are hanging down probably 3.5, 4 feet. I want them mounted directly to the ceiling. I'll get less shadows. It'll brighten the place up. But the uncertain thing here, and I have these lights in my store, and people are asking me for a specific formula. I don't know that there is one. I'm sure there are. You can use lighting calcs and use light meters and really calculate the space, calculate the area, and what's needed. But a lot of times, at least this is my experience, probably because I'm not a lighting expert, it's a lot of trial and error. I got to put the light there and see what happens, and then decide what other fixtures I need. So what I'll probably do is I'm gonna get everything out of here. I'm gonna get this table with all my tools and stuff and get it in the other room. And I want to kind of get the area ready and maybe start laying out lights. The electrician will be here in about 30 minutes or so. Hopefully get him to finish the wiring for the lift so that I can get the lift in place as well. So that'll be sprinkled in. Check out the twin bush install video. Other than that, that's what we're going to work on today. Flooring should be here in about a week or a few days to finish up the flooring. But anyway, that's what we're going to work on here today. I'll come back to you when it's time to work with Phil and have him talk us through the specifics of how to run MC cable, what ENT connectors we need, how to wire the lights properly using the spring fittings. He'll talk to us about that, and we'll go from there. All right, my buddies from Kalos are here. Phil, I'm sorry, John, you've told me your name 100 times and I can never remember. So what we're gonna do here is, I mentioned this in the opening of the video, it's tricky with lighting. How do we know how much light we're gonna get until we put it up there? So we're gonna start in this corner. So my initial thought is we're gonna do a row here, a row right above the car, right above the lift, and then we're going to leave this row intact. And we're going to do 3 fixtures across. So we're going to start with the one in the corner, and we're going to go from there. So tell me about this darn connector that I didn't know what the heck we were talking about. I've always cut these off. You're telling me these have to be, these are code.
These are actually code required for fluorescent fixtures. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this has a driver in it. These are probably...
these are ballast free, and so the driver is in each bulb, right? So these are single-sided. So one hot side, one dead side. There's the other side is just to kind of hold
So we just feed the lamps directly on these.
Yep.
Okay, so it might not actually be a code requirement for these particular fixtures, and all fluorescent fixtures. Mm-hmm. It's required, but it's just a quick connector. It's a way to disconnect the fixture, to service it without having to break open wire nuts and create a hazard for your typical maintenance guy. I think that's where that code came from. People get electrocuted changing these things out.
Well, it also seems so much easier. I don't have to drop the light down, and then it's always hitting you in the head, and what I'm talking about when you take the 2 screws out of the edge here, and then the thing folds out, and and so I shouldn't have been cutting those off for years. A couple of guys in videos said, and I said, I don't know what the heck that connector's for. They said, well, you idiot, it's to make it a lot easier.
Yeah. So for a fluorescent fixture, there'd be a ballast inside of it. which they go bad frequently.
Yeah.
And typically they're being replaced by not electricians, but your maintenance guys or
Right.
whatever. So the code was created to create a disconnect within the fixture. Your incoming wiring would terminate to this, and then this would terminate to the ballast.
Gotcha.
Now this is just terminated directly to your lamps,
Right.
but in a fluorescent fixture, and that allows them to safely work
Right.
the fixture.
So in our case, for our LED fixture, because there is no ballast, it just simplifies everything.
Yeah.
We don't have to open up the light to mount it or hang it, and we're good to go. So how does the wire go in this thing? You just push it in there, and it.
So you just strip about half an inch of insulation
Right.
off of the conductor, and then it's color coded.
Yeah.
So your neutral, or we call it a neutral conductor, or grounded conductor would
Yep.
terminate to white, and then your hot conductor would terminate to the black side.
Gotcha. So you strip a little bit off and just jam it in there, and
Yep.
it snaps in place.
Yep, should be good for 14 or 12 gauge wire. And solid conductors, stranded conductors aren't going to work in these.
Cool. All right. All right. So we got 12-2. So there are 3 wires in there. There's a ground, right? 2 wires and a ground,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so this is 12-2. MC stands for what? Metal cable.
Metal-clad cable.
Okay. Why do we need this in here? I mean, when you guys were running it for the outlets, I was like, what the heck are you doing? Why don't you just get some wire? I mean, does a commercial location have a different code?
So, no, actually, the word commercial doesn't exist in the actual electrical code. It's about the type of occupancy, but if it's a place of assembly, which this is not,
Right.
then you cannot use, what would be in your home would be Romex,
Right, yeah.
or non-metallic sheathed cable. Which you would use in most residential situations. But because it's less than 100-person occupancy, this is not considered a hazardous location or anything by code. Technically, we could use Romex here also, but it's sort of gentleman's code,
Right.
here in commercial facilities that will use a heavier duty type cabling. Like this.
And I guess it alleviates the need to run, pipes across the ceiling and stuff, and we can come right off the boxes.
You can't install Romex where it's subject to physical damage,
Right.
so it would have to stay within the walls.
And you'll show us how to cut this stuff.
Yep.
I bought one of those little fancy cutters for amateurs. I'm assuming you're not going to use one of those, the little twisty things that you.
Yeah, I can show you 2 ways. We can
Okay.
show you how to do it with one of those. If you're not installing this stuff every day,
Yeah.
don't go spend $35, $40 on the
Yeah, too late.
rotary cutter.
Too late.
Okay, yeah, just use side.
I'm going to be taking that back. So, and I'm taking back my fancy belt that I bought too. That's what I got you for. So this is my my fancy amateur scaffolding that I bought from Home Depot, and I'm too scared to go up. So I'm gonna be demoted to scaffolding pusher all day. What is this stuff called?
This is jack chain. It's called
Alright,
jack
so
chain.
I went and bought this at Home Depot. This is a chain we're going to use it mounts right to here, right? So this is one way to mount these lights. The other way, even though these are high bay fixtures, they actually do well in a garage, 10 foot, at 8, 9, 10 feet. They do better than your traditional cheapo garage fixture as long as you don't do too many of them like I've done before. But those I'll just freaking blow a hole right through it, mount it right up to the stud. But here, because we have metal, whatever you call it, beams, we're going to use the chain, right? And then the chain hooks into these holes here.
Shoot something with. You can open up the jack chain. I just use a screwdriver to stick it in there. Open it up a little bit. Slide it in.
I'm going to have a giant subwoofer in here, so we don't want the bass rattling the lights off the ceiling. This isn't your typical commercial location. It's going to be lots of fun going on in here.
Let's see, how many links did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll pre-manufacture a bunch with 4 links like that. Kind of would like to have had eye bolts up there to,
And then just hang it from
yeah,
it.
to have, we open this and just hang it from it, because otherwise I'm going to have to, it's not going to hang nice. So the way these ones are, you've got like 20 links or so it has
Yeah.
plenty of space to work itself out. Because
Right.
this is so tight, if I just put this to a screw up there, I don't, well, that might not be bad, right? If it hangs just like that.
Might have to hang a little bit out, so you have a little bit of room on the outside, and then it just kind of hangs at this angle, you know, out a little bit.
I mean, I've got to go to Home Depot, get some hydraulic fluid. I can go grab some eye bolts.
Yeah, I think some eye bolts would be
better,
great. Yeah,
Right.
that's gonna make it. Yeah, that's gonna make it hang a lot nicer.
Yeah.
All right, give me a piece of that chain, and I'll run up there and go grab them. We're gonna put, which will be great for serviceability, and they'll hang straighter. We're gonna put some 1/4 inch, 2 5/8 eye bolts in the beam, so he'll be able to hang the chain, flat and straight. So this will hang right on the eye bolt.
So I figured the center of your lift area is about 9 feet to center. So we want to figure out where to drill the holes for the eye bolts.
Right.
So I measured off the wall to 9 feet,
Okay.
and then these are about 46 inches apart to center.
Okay.
So what I usually do with I'm hanging fixtures is I measure to center, and then from that center I'll measure either way to get to where to put my supports.
Okay.
So you hang the fixture.
Got it. All right, so what we're gonna do is, for placement of the fixtures, I want it to be, because we're gonna do 3 across, so 1, 2, 3. So for some semblance of symmetry on the lift, we're gonna mount, so 1 4-foot fixture here, and the other 4-foot fixture here, and then the third will be, over here somewhere. And we're gonna, again, mount them. Unfortunately, we're changing the beam, so the lights are on this beam. So we're gonna be doing here, and then one right over top of the car. So I'm gonna stay on the ground, but he's measuring off where to drill the hole to put the eye bolt in.
I should be wearing safety glasses. Disclaimer.
You're a real man, that's okay. If you're not bleeding by the end of this, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah.
I'll make sure he's leaving.
It wasn't working right now.
I'm gonna get my money's worth. All right, so I'm taking one for the team here, standing on the scaffolding. Never mind, I can't do it. I can't do it. I hate heights. So anyway, he's mounting an eye bolt. You get the idea. I'm out of here.
You get it.
I got it.
So I'm glad I went and got the eye bolts. That looks way better. So what do? You just put a nut on top and bottom?
Yeah. Yep. That way it stays nice and tight. The building's gonna vibrate a little bit, so we don't want it to loosen up over time. Yep.
So we open up the hole in the chain, put it through, and then crimp it back down. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Nice and tight, right up to the ceiling. All right, we got a ladder that's more my speed, so I can hold on to something.
Okay, so show you how to strip this metal-clad cable. There's 2 ways. One, you can use this tool. It's called a roto split. I think maybe roto zip. That's a brand name, but generally that's what they're called. There's a setting on here for different thicknesses. This screw here, depending on the thickness of the cable, you would adjust. And the way you do that is you lay the cable in to the tool, just tighten that down. You don't have to do it snug, but just till it, barely comes up against the conductor. And you squeeze, turn it clockwise a couple times, and that will make a little cut in the wire.
That's clean, yeah.
Nice and clean. Probably the cleanest and fastest way to do it. But if you don't own a pair of those, if you're doing electrical work, mine a little beat up, but you should have a pair of these. They're called linesman pliers. It's sort of an all-in-one tool for electricians. And what you can do is you take the cable approximately where you want it to be broken. You can bend it over until it breaks, like that. Straighten it out and twist it a little bit. You see how when I twist it, it comes out like that? So once you've done that, you can take your pliers, pinch the cable, twist a couple times,
Got it.
come off. But that's really messy now, right?
Yeah.
So one last step when you do it this way is taking your side cutters, go against the cable, quick cut like that.
I mean, that's how most of you guys do it, right? And,
That's how a lot of guys do it.
yeah.
When you do it every day, doing it that way, some guys can be just as fast doing that as with the roto splits.
Yeah.
When I'm installing a lot of this cable, I'll use my roto split tool. If I'm just doing 1 or 2 connections, I'll just do it with the with my linesman's pliers.
Yeah.
And then to finish terminating the cable into a connector, first you have one of these, it's called an anti-short bushing.
Yep.
And there's this plastic wrapping that comes inside the cable. So what I like to do is leave that plastic wrapping on still for this step. A lot of guys cut it, but I like to leave it on for this step. Take my anti-short bushing, slide it over the top of that plastic cable, slide it in there.
That's just simply so the metal shielding doesn't cut the
Yeah,
edge of the cables, right?
yeah,
Or
it
the edge
provides
of
a
the
layer
actual
of
wire.
insulation against from the cable damaging it. I'm sure there's some other reason the manufacturers put it in there. Possibly maybe to protect the cables from the oil that's on the jacket, because there's oil on the outside and inside of these jackets, so it may be also to provide a little bit of protection from the sheathing to the cable for the oil also. That's totally a guess though.
I like guesses.
Guesses.
I make lots of
There's
guesses
usually
on this
reasons.
channel.
A lot of times we say, like, we don't know why something's done a certain way, and so we just say, oh, that's stupid.
Right.
When really, you know, engineers and people who are very intelligent put this stuff together, so they usually have a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have this MC connector.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell it's an MC connector because it has sort of like a stop for the cable.
Yep.
You'll see that when I put it together. It looks very similar to a Romex connector, but the Romex connector won't have, you see how there's these little, I don't know if you'd call them slits inside the,
Yeah.
it doesn't have that for a Romex connector. So you don't want to use a Romex connector on the MC cable. And then you slide it in. Loosen up the block screw a little bit. There's a disadvantage to using the roto split, to using the linesman, is they don't, sometimes the connector doesn't slide in as easily. So one extra step actually when you cut it with the linesman pliers is, see how this is now sticking out a little
Yeah.
bit?
So,
You just want to flatten that a little, just a touch. Don't damage the cable, just flatten it. Because otherwise my connector won't fit in like it just did. I don't know if you can see this in the video, but the stop provides a place for the sheathing to sit against
oh yeah.
in the cable. Whereas if this were open like a Romex connector, it could just slide through. Yeah, with MC cable, a lot of times I will find where they over tighten these screws and it squeezes down that MC cable, which then can pinch into the conductors and cause a short. So you just want to make those screws snug. You don't over tighten them.
All right, so you took that little plate off the top of the light, right?
Yep, and typically with these types of fixtures, this is where we ground it. It's a little ground screw on.
Right on
Fixture
top of the
there.
light?
Yep.
Gotcha. So you don't have to open it up.
You know, like we fumble around with these lock nuts. They make quick connect styles that don't use a lock nut, and I like those a lot better because they're quicker.
Oh yeah, I saw those. They like,
Also much worse to take it apart though.
Yeah, if you gotta take it apart
You much prefer the lock.
because you messed something up, then yeah, then they're a pain. But
well, that's why you want jobs where you do it and you never come back. Yeah.
yeah. So about 6 inches of conductor length is generally what you're looking for. Code actually requires a minimum of 6 inches where you're entering outlet boxes and things like that. So for the ground, so with any of these connections, with those quick connectors, we're going to strip about 1/2 inch, plus or minus, about that much, about 1/2 inch of conductor for those quick connectors. For this ground, we'll strip a little bit more, 3/4 to 1 inch. And then my strippers have this little hole in it.
Yeah.
So I put the wire inside that little hole and I'll make a
Oh
like that.
shoot. I had that hole all this time and
Yeah.
I was
That
getting-
hole is actually for.
I was getting out another set of pliers.
So this one has a few. There's some for cutting screws, but yeah, that's what that hole right there is
Dang it.
for.
This is great. I just got my money's worth right there in that one little tip. And all the guys watching this video is like, you mad, you idiot. Of course that's what
Duh.
it's for.
Jeez.
I always wondered how you guys made those perfect little pigtails.
Yep. And then when terminating a conductor under a binding screw, you want the that hook that you made should go clockwise around the screw. If you go counterclockwise, it tends to open up
Yeah.
the hook, whereas if you go clockwise, it will close it. Get it in there. This is just a step I sometimes take. I don't always take it. I'll fit that cable in there and then just pinch it closed with my pliers. And that way it doesn't slip out while I'm trying to tighten it up. There you go. Tighten it up. It's nicely grounded. Black goes to the black side. White to the white side. If you're watching this in some other country where you do different color codes, you know, then white is your neutral or grounded conductor, and then the black is your hot conductor.
That's it. So now you're good.
They're going to eat you alive for not calling it an ungrounded conductor.
Well, it's not ungrounded, it's a grounded conductor. Oh, the hot
hot,
conductor.
yeah.
Yeah, or ungrounded. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
gonna raise a lot of questions using too many of those terms, but yeah.
The quick connect part is going to go inside the light.
Yes.
Just proud of myself that I bought all the right equipment. It only took me probably 17 hours of YouTube videos to figure that out. Standing and staring at the shelves at Home Depot for another couple hours. But now in my next facility, I'll know how to do it. To pay you to come do it there too. So is there any kind of code specific on how the wire has to be strapped?
Yes, for light fixtures with MC cable, the code is from your last means of support or where it was last secured, which I just did I just installed a strap. If this fixture were hanging down, we could have 6 feet unsupported. So any outlet, junction box, things like that, we need to support this cable within 18 inches of the box. For a metal-clad cable, it's every 6 feet for a support, but generally I tend to go 4 feet. Otherwise you end up with a little slack in the cable and it doesn't look pretty.
Yeah.
Is that why you get scared when you're up here?
Yeah, you're making me nervous. Leaning against the back of that rail.
I'm just trusting that you put it together properly.
Yeah, don't do that.
You're gonna edit that stuff out, right?
No. That's gonna be the
gonna be the
intro
highlight.
to the video.
Thumbnail.
Yeah.
Wait, this guy's doing your electrical work?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it
You
doesn't
can't even
matter.
use tools right.
It doesn't matter who you are, how well you do, they're gonna find it. There's some electrician watching saying, that's never happened to me, I'm the
Guarantee
best.
there's going to be some guy be like, DeWalt, why don't you use DeWalt? DeWalt sucks.
Well, that's true, but see, I like the video people because I always get the best out of them. You know, no cutting corners when the camera's out, you know? Even if you don't know what you're doing, according to YouTube. I'm gonna expect all those zip ties to be facing the same direction as well, so.
So stressed.
It's only 16 feet up in the ceiling. I'll be able to see it.
Obsessed electrical.
I'll know it if it's backwards.
Now I'm gonna pay attention to that. I almost put this one in backwards.
Yeah. Change your life. Next thing I'm gonna have you cutting the nibs off your tires. All right, so we got 4 wires. A red one. I'm glad that you're here because now I'd be screwed.
What they've got, there's 2 separate light switches here.
Yeah.
And I'm just want to figure out, because it's going to help us moving forward, 'cause I think we're going to want like one area off of one switch, one area off the other one.
Yeah.
So it's going to figure out what they did here so that we know how to proceed with hooking these up. This is some of the things you come across. I just barely touched this wire nut.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
a really nice connection they made there.
So how do you prevent that? You just,
You twist it more better.
okay, all right, I'm with you.
So actually, it looks like there's more wires up here. There's wires here that we don't need. We're good. You go ahead and hit that switch. I don't need you to hit the breaker. I'll confirm that I don't have voltage because safety.
Yeah, I like that.
So you can just go to ground to hot here, and I don't have anything here. There's a very poor connection here. I don't know if you can get in on that. This stranded to solid, which is fine. You can connect stranded to solid, but it shouldn't be all mangled up like that. It wasn't done skillfully. So.
Oh yeah, that is a mess. I can see now. I'm
Yeah,
zoomed in.
yeah. I mean, it's only hitting one fixture. The fixture only draws half an amp, so that'll probably work forever and never have a problem.
Why is that one blue?
Okay, so well, I think it's actually a single phase system here. Was it single or three phase, John?
Single.
Yeah.
Single. Okay, so probably they use blue to identify that it's a switch leg. A lot of times when we're pulling wire through EMT, our typical colors are going to be brown, red, blue. Single phase system here, so oh, thank you, black, red, blue. So single phase system here would be black, red for what we call your phase conductors or your hot conductors. Or then when we throw controls into it, like a switch leg, like we have here, we'll install a color. It's an off color for what your system is. Just so visually it's easy to identify. Okay, that's my switch conductor.
I would have attempted to become more efficient and use like a fancy little, little impact driver to screw those in. But that's not the real man thing to do, right?
Well, you can just stop it before you pinch the conductor.
Yeah.
They terminated this ground. This is stranded conductor, and they terminated it under a binding screw, which is no bueno. You know how loose that is?
Yeah.
It doesn't tighten up properly. It damages the conductor. Not the right way to do it. So we're gonna make sure to terminate to that binding screw with this new solid conductor that we have in here. The way I do that a lot is if I've got enough length like this, somewhere 6 inches down from where it enters the box, about 6 inches down. Just take the strippers, back the insulation out just enough like that. Put the hook in it and then terminate it to my ground screw.
Why would they run stranded wire in here? Isn't that kind of a pain in the rear to deal with?
I don't know, that's preference. Some guys like stranded. It's easier to pull, but it's not easier to terminate.
Yeah.
So, to me, when guys make the argument to me that, oh, I want stranded because it's easier to terminate, well, for one, it's more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's more difficult to terminate. I have a lot more termination time on a job than I have pulling wire time.
Yep.
So it's going to be solid. The only time I really care for stranded is hook it to any kind of vibrating load, motor loads, things like that. Stranded. The conductor's going to end up a little short because that strand is a little damaged the way they terminated it. But normally I would want at least 6 inches of conductor left in this box. So with stranded, I don't pre-twist my conductors. If I'm going solid to stranded, I don't pre-twist them. You just line them up, and sort of, if you go just a little bit past the end of the solid conductor with the stranded, the wire nut's going to grab it better, and it's going to make a nice connection. And you won't have it jamming up inside this conductor. Or, excuse me, inside the wire nut like that previous connection we saw was.
So now you're terminating all this because we're going to test this light, right?
Right.
But normally, if we had 3 lights coming in this box, we would wait, and do it all at once.
Yep.
So that short ground is dictating all of our wires being shorter.
No, I just did it to that one, but yeah,
Right.
these ones are approximately the same length.
Okay.
I like to dress my cables in the box. Like, what I mean by that is instead of taking my cable this side enters here, this one enters here, instead of just taking them and jamming them together and then figuring out how I'm going to tuck them in the box, you know, I like to have them dressed a little bit. So, you know, I've got this one kind of coming down straight from the box. I'll push this other conductor up and over so that it's nicely tucked in. Comes down in one spot, and then you'll see when I tuck it in, it'll be nice. and
Right,
clean.
right. Someone will tell you that's wrong.
Somebody will definitely tell me that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's guaranteed. Well, there's more than one way to do things.
Yep.
That's all. I'm just showing you the way that I've done it, and I've developed over my 26-year career. So, give it good. 26 years, and this is the best you can do.
All right.
Oh, that's a lot brighter.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing it up next to the wall. Get rid of all the shadows. So here's our lights are gonna look. So I'm gonna have room right in the middle there to put my air lines. So because we're using MC, we can't just daisy chain the lights, can we?
You can daisy chain them. Yeah. It's about the wire gauge. It's 12 gauge. We could daisy chain them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, this looks so much cleaner. Getting rid of these old lights. So we were just talking about the commercial viability of the bulbs, and that they're 22 watt, but they're 100. The input voltage is they're capable of 100 to 277 volts. Right, so if you had a three-phase system in your in your garage, you'd be good to go, or or your commercial location. Because I mean that's what these are designed for, is high bay commercial lighting.
Yeah.
And which is what we're doing, but I'm adapting these professional grade products and putting them in a garage.
Yep.
All right, so looking through here, looks like the position of this light, to keep symmetry here, keep the row going. The position of this light tackles a couple of problems. One, gets rid of the shadows over in this corner, also helps illuminate where the bench, the packing bench, is going to go. And then, again, continuing to carry the lights symmetrically throughout. So we have a row here, row here, right? Match it up to the row here, and then of course we go, left to right. And then John's putting in my outlet for my lift. Nothing special on this, right? We're just converting. We'd run the ability for 30 amps in case we needed it, but we have overhead if we have to do some crazy lift in here, but just converting this to a 15 amp circuit, 20 amp circuit.
Yeah, 20.
So while they were working on that, I went and updated just added a little tread. Now I need to adjust the doors, but I have a little tread here so that we won't see the transition. And then I had to go and I epoxied the entry here, so we'll see how that holds up. But they're pressure fit in here anyway, so we should be good. Just have some cans there to hold it down. What did you do? You just tested see if you could run all the lights on one?
Yeah, we just did an amp draw testing on all the lights that we have to see if one 20 amp circuit could hold, which it doesn't, so we're gonna have to run a new circuit to.
Because you would want what, 3/4 load on a?
80%
80,
is on branch circuits is what we're allowed. So
Right.
16 amps max on a 20 amp circuit.
Right, and we're at 21.
21. Yeah.
Yeah, so that means we need 2, right?
We could break out at least 6 fixtures off the circuit, right, in order to get it under
Yeah.
16. So.
Do we have room to
We're
put?
gonna
Do we
do-
have room to put that in here?
Yes. So, well, you're filled up. But what we're gonna do is put a tandem breaker in.
Isn't there room on the bottom there? Or no, that's not.
No, there's nothing there. But we're gonna put one of these style breakers in.
Oh. Could you theoretically put one of those in every position if you needed to?
Some panels, if
Yeah.
older panels won't allow it.
Right.
Code used to only allow up to 42 circuits in a panel board.
Yeah.
That code's been removed, and now you can put as many as
As you can fit. Yeah.
is allowed. But the panel design has to
Yeah.
allow for it. See, this sec one's not set up to accept that breaker there. Usually it's in the bottom. Okay,
So they make an allowance for,
they make an allowance for some of these tandems.
Right, up,
But when
down,
you look
and
at the
bottom.
bus work,
yeah.
the top bus, if you look at how that spade on that
Yep.
bus looks, it's full. There's no breakouts in it. Whereas then we go and look at the bottom, there's a little cutout.
Yeah.
And so that cutout is where these tandems will fit.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So that's what prevents you with this style from filling up the whole panel with tandems.
Yeah.
You probably only can fill them up to like maybe this point here.
Cool. So we'll have both of our lights on that tandem.
Well, actually we won't. We're gonna have to move some circuits around
Okay.
because we're adding a circuit, but the existing wiring, this circuit's all on one neutral. And so because we're adding a circuit, we don't want to use the same phase. We're going to use a separate phase.
So you're gonna move. You'll
because
move.
otherwise we could have a risk of running 21.5 amps on that
Right.
neutral, which would overload that conductor.
So you'll move something like the garage door opener or something
Yeah,
to
so we'll move this conductor and this conductor. They're both on single pole 20s over to.
Yeah. So lighting on one side of it.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out which circuits we're going to move. Well, we're trying to figure out what the previous
Yeah.
electrician did,
Right.
and they did some things that aren't correct. So
Nice air
usually
quotes.
when we come across that, it takes us a little time to figure out what they did, how we're going to fix it, and get what we need to done.
So the center's a three-way switch because there's a switch over by the door.
Yep.
The other two are single
Yeah.
pole. You're trying to figure out how to split the breaker, split the.
Split this circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to add a circuit.
So does that mean our left switch just won't be operational?
No, it'll still be working. Yep. It'll still be switched, but it'll be on the existing circuit. We won't change anything about that. This outer switch here, we're going to put on its own circuit.
Mm-hmm.
That one had 12 fixtures on it.
Yeah.
So that makes the most sense to just break that one out.
All right. Here we go.
We got 12 on the one with a lot of them. And 8.7 on.
You can't beat that. That's perfect.
Well, you could if it was 10 and 10.
If it was, yeah, it's not perfectly balanced.
All right, so we had to, well, when I say we, I mean them. I had to notch out. And to cut a hole in my beautiful drywall. I'm gonna have to fix.
Holy moly, it's a little brighter in here than when we started the day. Oh man. So we actually finished the entire lighting project. Kalos did all the work. I was just videoing and working on the lift all day, just kind of tweaking and trying to figure that out. So the lift video will come soon, but we ended up doing 19 fixtures. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll show you in a second here. So 4 in the front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 down the middle, and then the secondary middle row is 3, 5, so we got 5, so we got 4, 4, 5, and then the back row is 6 lighting fixtures, so 19 total. And it's perfect. So I was able to kind of stand around, and you probably annoy people, but I was able to stand around and kind of say, well, I'd like it here or there. So we have it flanking the lift properly. When I eventually get cabinets, I've got good lighting over there, exposure. But I'll show you on the walls, there really are very few dead spots. If any, and so we've got really great light distribution. It's not too bright. I think 5,000 Kelvin is going to be good for here, or should I say Kelvin, like people want me to say, 5,000 Kelvin instead of the normal 6 or 6,500 that I do. That's a little tougher to deal with. So anyway, I'm psyched, man. These lights, these fixtures are great. So for the money, you know, the 6 bulb is what, $168, $169 in my store. And then the 4 bulb, I think, is in the 120s. Man, they're great for what they are. And so when you get them up, tucked up close to the ceiling, and you get proper amounts of them, you know. So again, this is a full 2,000 square feet. So take out 200 or so for the lobby and the bathroom. So let's say 250. So 1,750 square feet, and I've got 19 fixtures, 19 6 bulb, 5,000 Kelvin fixtures that are, you know, dispersed throughout. So I'll show you here on camera what the distribution difference is and where they're at.
All right, so here's the setup. So, you know, if you were to kind of do the math here, this is 40 feet deep. It's like 37 and change, 38 feet deep. And so what we decided to do was, you know, notice where the steel beams are. So skipped one because there won't be as much done on this side, right? So I have a row here, skip a row, middle row, skip the other sort of off-center middle row, row right directly above the lift, you know, just shy of center of the lift, and then really close to the back wall here, because the back wall is where cabinets will go, right? And so that's the distribution of the lights from, you know, horizontally, and then I wanted to carry, you know, some symmetry here so that they're all equidistant, right? And so then we have, again, 4 rows back, and then notice they're all, you know, symmetrically placed. And so in this, roughly, I guess this would be 25 wide by 40 deep. Yeah, because this is 50 feet wide, right? So over to that beam there. So this 25 by 40 foot deep here, we have 12 fixtures, right? So 4 rows of 3, right? So there's the distribution, equidistant. You know, I want to get the lights closer to the back wall, because that's where I'm going to be doing most of the work. And so, you know, theoretically, if we were talking about the lift, if I had like a car on the lift, you know, I've got light to the left, sort of coming down this way. I've got light overhead, which will cover and, you know, make up the gap, if you will. And then we've got light coming from the back. So the lift has even coverage. And then we have essentially 2 rows or 2 fixtures that are kind of half over the lift, if that makes sense, right? So, you know, one is coming down the left side, the other is coming down the right side. So we have nice even dispersion on the wall there with, you know, with the lighting. So, you know, if you're thinking about the workflow of my garage, so over here on the left is where the compressed air system is going to go. I've decided I'm going to do cabinets from here to the corner. It's going to make the turn on the corner, and then up to the, you know, roughly up to the box where the, you know, the lift control unit is, rather than doing any kind of cabinetry over here on the side that would interfere with the door. So you guys that said that was a dumb idea, you're right. So I'll give you credit for that. So I, you know, wanted to deal with this area here, but I wanted to keep some symmetry. And, you know, this is where the K1322TS, which will be the new OG version of the on-wall custom solution. I'll be working on that probably in the next few weeks. There's the 1122 package, of course. So I wanted this wall to be, you know, to be not shadowy. You know, that's the bathroom. So essentially, this is where the other row, you know, this row above, comes in handy. And then we added a light here, even though it looks a little odd there. You know, I wanted to keep it symmetrically here, as well as straight down this row. And it works out because above there is attic space, and so even though that light's a little over the wall, it illuminates the whole upper area where we'll have like box overflow and things like that. And so then we have the lights centered off the beam on either side. So we have the row there, and then I wanted to make sure we had good light coverage here where the shipping station's going to be. or most of the packing area is going to be. We also have proper light above this little packing area, right, from this row. So we have 2 lights, and then for all of our pallet racking and the rows of where where the stuff, where all the product's going to be, we have some fixtures here. I may consider, we'll probably add, I have one more, so I may add that 3rd one there, which would cover more of the attic than anything. But when I walk over here, the light, the light distribution, the way the light looks is perfect. There's no shadowing or anything. So largely the entire structure there aren't very many hot spots. It's largely shadow free. I know the camera's going to adjust for a lot of that. And notice, the difference in yellow, right? So if you just look at the yellow light in this, those are the bulb color temp that we had before, right? So a pretty significant difference between in here. The camera's going to adjust, right, and take out some of the yellow to what it looks like in the garage. Looks pretty awesome. So I did this one right, and I didn't overdo it, unlike my wash bay where I overdid the amount of light. So cameras are going to look great in here. Everything is just going to look fantastic. So here you go, looking from the outside, and how the lights, all the fixtures go. So 12 on this side, 5, 6, 7 on the other side, right? 5, 6, 7, yep, 7 fixtures on the left side. So 19 in total.
So that wraps up the the lighting discussion, and at least the lighting discussion for the OGHQ. I wanted this to be a place where I could test the lights. I was pretty sure these are going to be fine, but I put them in my store a little premature because people were beating me up about lights, and I was 75% certain, 80% certain they were going to be more than acceptable, and they're really good. And actually, I was nervous. We put one of the lights up when we were used to the 2700 Kelvin bulbs, and then I put one of them up. I'm like, oh boy, these are going to look terrible. The LEDs are not going to be great. But these ballast-free, single-ended, frosted tube type high bay fixtures, again, they'll work in your garage as well. Even if you have 8, 9, 10 foot ceilings, it'll work just great. You want to make sure you space them out and you have lots of them. I'd rather have more 4-bulb fixtures than 6-bulb fixtures, if I didn't have the ceiling height. So you can use these high bays. It's the best we've got. I mean, there's some troffers and some things and some panels, LED panels that are really interesting to me. But at this point, I think this is the best I've discovered. And wait till you guys, if you come and visit OGHQ in the future, you're going to be pretty pleasantly surprised. So if you've been holding off, and I've been kind of holding off saying, yes, get these lights. If you're looking for lights and you want fixtures like what I got, these are it. You just buy them in the Obsessed Garage store. They're pretty fantastic. So thanks to the guys at Kalos. I get a lot of flack for this, is standing and watching and getting people to talk about their craft, and the guys at Kalos have always been so good about just doing it. And so I know some of you are going to get bent out of shape about me, not doing the work and stuff. But look, I'm over here. I've been here for 12 hours today, working on the lift, getting the door jamb areas done, driving back and forth to just doing stuff. I had to go get hydraulic fluid. I had to go get some stuff at Home Depot. I had to get some of the jack chain, get some more MC. I'm just doing what I can, so anyway, please don't give me a hard time. But anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more crazy. It's gonna get nutty here at OGHQ. Video coming up here shortly. Jason Kilmer, Andy Ward, who's Proficient X, so KXK Dynamics is coming. I got some hoods. I went to the junkyard today. Oh, that's another thing. I had to go to the junkyard today. I got some hoods. We're going to be doing some high level teaching me how to wet sand and sharing that with you guys. So it's going to be awesome. So stay tuned for more crazy. Thanks. What happens when the
force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.